Hey guys, this is Michael Ensminger, and I am with one of our fleet managers, Rudy Martinez. Say what's up.
How's it going, guys? Rudy.
Rudy, man, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. Just want to talk to you about a few different things, some ops related, some not. First of all, just explain to the folks kind of your background. Tell me where'd you grow up, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm from this area. I graduated from Monette. Then from Monette, I moved on to Springfield. I went to Missouri State. Been here since then, since after I graduated. Been in transportation since I finished my degree. I started with a couple of different companies, and happily that I ended up here with Wilson Logistics.
Nice. So, what'd you study in?
I went to school for marketing and logistics. So I kind of put my degree to use a little bit, but happy that I did.
Was it in the same, at Missouri State, is it in the same college? Like the marketing and transportation?
Yes, same departments, about the same professors. A lot of those classes just kind of merged together, so it just made sense to do my grad school and at the same place. Kind of cut some time off of it on the time that it would take to finish it. So
sure.
It made sense to do it.
Nice. So then you graduated, and what'd you do right after graduation?
So whenever I graduated, I started at Prime, doing the same thing. Started there in operations, did their whole training program, and then decided to look at other places just to kind of get more experience. Moved on to McLean. From McLean, I moved on to another smaller trucking company.
All in Springfield?
All in Springfield. Well, Republic, I guess, for McLean.
That counts.
Springfield, same area. And then I started here about 5 years ago and still loving it, still liking it. So I think I'll be here for a while.
Awesome. What was it like 5 years ago when you joined compared to what it's like today?
Man, completely different. I mean, we had paper logs from whenever I started, and now obviously everyone is on e-logs. Just different perspective from the drivers. A little bit more, I guess, grunge to it. Just people, back then. Okay. I think people now, drivers, are a little bit more receptive to any really input from us, to as opposed to, I don't know, 5 years ago, whenever I started, it seemed like they would fight their fleet managers a little bit more and kind of push them back. I think now they're actually trying to be more of a team player versus in the past.
So what do you think drives that? Do you think that was maybe your little bit lack of experience 5 years ago and how you build those relationships with your drivers, or do you think it is just kind of a difference in times?
I would say both. I mean, obviously there's drivers that are younger for sure. The older drivers are always not willing to change their ways, whether it's with technology or just new ideas, but also with experience. And you can see it now, and you could, if I'm covering someone else, they always kind of hesitate me helping them out because they don't know me, as opposed to someone that, because I guess they would think that I don't have the experience because they never dealt with me.
Got it.
So I think once people get to know that you have experience in the field, they're more apt to trust you and trust your judgment, your decision making. So then you gain their trust, and they're a little bit more receptive to you overall.
Yeah, that makes sense. What did we have a training program when you first started with us?
No, I think it was more so you were behind the wheel with that one person. I had a one-on-one training with Darrel Wilson, actually, and just kind of follow this lead. I already had a little bit of experience with the system, obviously, coming in from Prime, dealing with the whole system and the freight network. After that, once we started getting more interns, newer interns now, we kind of started a little bit of a training process. Well, same deal, we take them on, they sit with us, they kind of follow our lead, and we show them how everything works. And it seems to work all right. I think we have people that are sticking around and doing good for the company too.
Nice. How would you describe your job as a fleet manager for someone who may not have any idea of what you do?
It would be hard to describe it. I mean, we kind of do everything. I would say we're counselors, we're friends, we're teachers, anything. You know, we try to build relationships with the drivers, and try to help them with their business, because it is a business. We just try to help them out, make the best decisions. Sometimes we kind of have to do a little bit of training if they're not on board with our policies. So we've got to be counselors in that aspect. You know, friends, we got to listen to them. And sometimes you got to be a little stern with them. So I don't know how I would describe my job, honestly, because we just do everything and anything you can think of. Just rapid decision making to dealing with problems.
What time do you usually get into the office?
It depends. You know, if I have a lot of issues going on, for the most part, you know, 6:30, 7 o'clock. It just most of my stuff, I try to leave the day with no issues, so that I know that I'm not coming back to anything that I need to sort out. Obviously, there's stuff that happens throughout the night, but for the most part, I come in at, you know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, run my stuff. You know, it takes about 30 minutes to get everything, get a feel for what's going on, what you need to take care of.
Yeah. But you're pretty much in that seat all day, huh?
All day. Well, I tried to. Obviously, I try to walk around a little bit just to kind of stretch my legs. But for the most part, you know, 10 hours. You know, I get up to go eat. I eat a lot. So just small breaks like that. But yeah, for the most part, you're constantly just 10 hours at your desk, just in the zone, trying to help out drivers and dealing with issues.
Yeah. What's one of the more challenging aspects of being a fleet manager?
I would say just dealing with different personalities, you know, dealing with a new driver that's trying to gain their trust, someone that's new especially, and just trying to get them to trust you that you're going to lead them on the right direction. For me anyway, I think sometimes it's kind of hard to get people to trust you. So, you know, new phase, why would I trust someone that I've never met? To me, I think that's the most challenging. You know, besides...
Or met for 5 minutes.
Right, for 5 minutes, and now all of a sudden this person is making all the decisions for me, supposedly best decision, and I don't know them. So, besides that, you know, keeping drivers and kind of lowering our turnover, but I think that's, for me, that's a challenging part.
Yeah. What are some of the things you do to help decrease overall turnover for your specific fleet?
I work a lot with my guys. I kind of stay close to them and kind of meet their needs as much as possible, where it makes sense financially for us and for them as well. So I try to build a relationship with them. I don't per se try to say that I become their best friend, but I do try to become their friend and kind of listen to what they have to say and just feed as much as I can to them, but kind of expect the same back as far as just anything they might need, help, or whatever the case might be.
I feel like I already know the answer to this, but what's one of the better parts of your job, or one of the more rewarding things when it comes to being a fleet manager?
I mean, for me, it's actually helping people earn a living. You know, I get satisfaction from helping someone make a paycheck and still be profitable for the company. To me, that's the greatest feeling. Just knowing that someone's taking money to their family and getting them home safe. You know, safety is a great part for us, and just I try to get them home safe. You know, they got a family home, friends, people that care for them. And safe for everyone else out on the road. You know, we want to get home safe, and with that comes our drivers being safe.
Sure. What's something that that you would want to, or so you have this platform obviously where, you know, some of our drivers or even folks that aren't our drivers are watching or tuning in. What's something that you would like to explain to them in a little more detail that could possibly help them as being a driver, right? Whether it's, you know, communication between what they're doing in ops, which is probably where you were going to go, or something like a little bit more nuanced. You know what I'm saying?
I would say, like you said, communication, being more of a hands-on per se, not just relying on us to make all decisions for them, asking questions, really be involved in their in and out operations. It just goes for small things such as being able to read their settlements, you know, and that being involved in it, you know, asking the right questions on whatever move they're making. Hey, why am I doing this? Or why are you sending me here? To learn maybe per se the freight network. You know, why should I do this? What's the plan after that? Versus just asking questions, you know, and not actually being a question of that problem.
Right.
So really, communication is a great thing for us. I think anyone that's just has good communication and really becomes involved in learning their whole business operation, not just leaving it all up to us to take care of it and really put their skin in the game. So we like to say, be part of it. I think those people are really successful.
Yeah, take a little bit more ownership.
Right.
So do you notice, you have lease operators and company drivers, right?
I have both, yes.
Okay. So do you notice that, lease operators or owner operators take a little bit more on, on their plate than maybe a company driver would?
I mean, I think overall both their jobs are completely hard. I think they deal with a lot of stuff out there. To say that lease operators probably take a little bit more ownership.
Yeah, that's
I would say so. For the same reason that they have more stake in it.
Yeah.
They know that there's so much they can control to keep money in their pockets. Company drivers still have stake in everything. Obviously, they work for a living, but they don't deal with some of those costs that lease operators do.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about our training program and our students a little bit more. So what's it like from a fleet manager's perspective when you get a new student on your board, which is, almost every week, is it not?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting. You get almost, someone new that you're teaching, and it's eventually going to make your fleet grow, and it's going to be an addition to the company. New face, you get to help them out and actually build them into a good driver. So you become a great part of that. And we either run them off, depending on how we treat them, or we keep them, honestly.
Yeah.
And to me, it's exciting. I've always want to keep my students. We do a lot of shuffling around where we pick them up and switch them with different trainers. I like to keep mine.
Yeah.
So any chance that I have, if it doesn't work out with one trainer, I like to keep mine. So I'll trade them out with my own fleet. But I like it. It's a new challenge. Like it's a new phase. You get to meet someone new and eventually train them on to be on their own and be more of a professional driver. So.
Yeah. What's a difference between, by the time they get through their first week in onboarding and then get on for those first couple weeks before they take their CDL exam? What in your mind differentiates someone who you think will likely be successful and make it as a professional driver, and one that you can kind of tell like it's probably not for them?
You can tell just by the effort they put in. So obviously there's people, the ones that ask a few questions, not that there's so many questions asked from the beginning, but they're, calling you and checking to see if they're doing okay, checking to see what they're doing next, that are, like I said, involved in it. Those are the ones that are normally a little bit more successful, in my opinion, and that just seems to work out with mine. Just because they're eager to take that CDL test and they're eager to keep progressing in their training and get that CDL. But I would say it's always the ones that seem to reach out to you and really ask questions. You can see their excitement whenever you meet them face to face.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do this. My trainer seems like he's a great trainer. You seem okay, so it's... for me, that's what it is. I think it would be hard to actually pinpoint one aspect of like, oh, this guy's going to be horrible and this guy's not going to do okay. He's not going to pass.
Right. Like a little more. So what I'm hearing you say is, when you first meet them, which is that first week, right before they go out with their trainer, the energy, the ownership, the positive attitude, those are the things that you see in people that will likely be successful.
To me, it seems like it, yes. Yeah. My own opinion, that seems like to be the case for the guys that I get on my fleet.
Yeah. How do you like either students or your drivers to communicate with you during the day, right? Like you're bogged down with all the things that are going on through your day. What are the easiest ways to communicate with you?
Both. I actually, it's kind of hit and miss for both, for all the fleet managers really. You can get pretty caught up on phone calls. Mm-hmm. So what I tell my guys, like if it's something simple that I can help you with, send me a message, Qualcomm message. Can't reach me on the Qualcomm, then for sure send me a text message. Whatever you need to, as long as you're able to communicate. If it's something you really need to discuss and just you can't get across the point across or the Qualcomm, give me a call. But I encourage both. Any sort of communication, emails, if they need to send me emails and they need to show me anything through pictures or whatever the case might be. But I would say simple questions that they just need, maybe an express code for a comm check, just Qualcomm and everything else that needs to be discussed. Phone calls, either one, receptive to both, I would say.
You're constantly getting those Qualcomm messages,
correct,
right? And then is your phone constantly ringing
Yeah,
too?
So you got both at the same time, and you might have, and so we have that, and then we have communication with the planners dealing with the freight, any other issues. So there's all this communication just outside of that, and then whatever other issues we might have with other fleet managers, maybe we're helping them deal with an issue as a team. So there's a lot going on for sure. So to me, the simple answer for them is, if it's simple, send me a message. If it's really something you need to discuss, for sure, reach out to me.
Right. Pick up the phone if you need.
Right. If it's emergency, 100% sure, call me ASAP, and I'll pick up the phone, call them.
Mm-hmm. What goes into planning your trucks, making sure that your drivers have the loads they need? Let's kind of talk about that. Like, help explain the whole process of it, from your understanding of what happens when the planners are looking at planning trucks, and then when you get the load and all of that. So
our weeks basically start from I would say Tuesday to Tuesday, just because it's 7-day week period. So within that 7-week period, we're trying to generate enough revenue for a truck to make their payments, make their fixed costs, variable costs, and then pocket some money at the end of the week, right? I would say that planners don't really look at what the truck's financial is for the week. Our job is to look at where that truck has been that week, where it was the previous week. Maybe the previous week that truck had a negative settlement. And so if that's the case, we're actually wanting to put more revenue into that truck to dig him out. Obviously, the goal is about Tuesday to Tuesday, we move those trucks, we position them in areas, places that we can generate enough revenue to do that. So we might take a load that pays a little bit less to go into a different area to take on that next load that we know would pay them better. And I focus a lot on utilization. I think overall that would benefit a truck at any time the best. For example, what's the point of taking a load that pays $1,000 on 3 days versus a load that pays $500 overnight run, right? Just because you want your overall bigger dollars doesn't mean it's the best decision. So that's the main goal. A lot of us, we do a rotation on the weekends, so we try to position our trucks to where they're not going to need us on the weekends. So at the weekend, those trucks that need the help should be in areas that we know can help that truck be where it needs to be.
Sure.
Get a reload that we know could pay them $2,000, $2,500 to cover their loads. So
even though we do have weekend coverage, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But those folks, not that they're not any less or more skilled than you, but just they don't know every single detail that's going on with your fleet like you do.
Correct. We deal with that truck for an entire week. We know where they've been, what issues happened with them, what delays they had, what time they lost, where they're at. The weekend coverage doesn't know the full story of a truck, so they don't have the whole perspective of where that truck's at. I can come in the next day or the next week and see what a truck needs just based on me covering it for really my entire time since I've been here.
Yeah. So what do some of your more profitable drivers do besides trust that the freight network and that you're familiar with it? What are some of the things that some of those more profitable drivers are doing to help you get them more revenue on their truck?
A lot of them, they do really good trip planning. And by that, I mean they run ahead of a load. They're always running ahead of a pickup time, ahead of a delivery time, not on the backhand. Meaning that if a truck needs to cover 100 miles, 200 miles, they don't wait till the next day whenever it's closest to their appointment. They run those miles that previous day. so they're not constantly fighting traffic, any delays. They're minimizing that chance of a loader pushing out because they get stuck in traffic. That's what a good driver does. He'll run, like I said, ahead of the load, constantly picking up early, delivering early, using their logs as best as possible, not wasting any time really. I guess for example would be getting a load today, picking up tomorrow with a 200-mile empty coverage to get to the shipper. A good driver is going to drive there tonight, get there tomorrow, have a full clock, utilize their hours to deliver the next day, as opposed to someone that's not doing that, and they would just wait till the next day, tomorrow, pick it up, and so now they're fighting their clock to get to the delivery.
Sure.
So,
I mean, that makes sense based on what you said with, utilization being something that you really try to push or focus on with your trucks, right? So if a driver is doing the things that you said, getting in early, right, paying attention, if they know that that they need to knock out their laundry or whatever, right, do that at a good time instead of 5 minutes before you need to leave, to be perfectly on time for that trip.
Or or small things like putting a truck in a shop. A lot of them know that if they have extra time on a load, that's probably a good time to put that truck in a shop. We'll get a PM done, or whatever the case might be, versus waiting until after they get done with the job, which normally causes them to lose half a day of reload. And same thing, the utilization, they lose that part of a day. A good driver, not to say they're bad drivers, but one that knows more how to help me out, like you said, would do that under a load if they had the time. So,
what makes you feel a little bit more at home, with Wilson compared to, some of the other companies, the other trucking companies that you worked for?
I would say the feedback and the communication from just everyone. I'm always able to get a hold of anyone if I need to. My operations manager, good guy, great guy.
You can drop the name.
I forgot his name. Hey, Darrel does good. What I like about our operations too is they don't feed you the answer, but they still help you out. I don't think I've ever asked for help and been just given the answer on how to do it. They actually kind of let you figure it out, which is what I liked. While they didn't really help me, they kind of pushed me to help find my own answer, which helped me learn better. So. That and just the smaller scale. I like the smaller scale and being involved of a team where we can help each other out and not fight each other or compete against each other, which we do a little bit per se, but it's not us versus anyone else.
It's friendly competition.
Friendly competition. Yes.
Yeah, you guys are helping each other out.
Right.
Ops cover in and things like that.
Yeah, anything that we might need. Fresh ideas always help solve different problems. So.
What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't working for a trucking company? Like, what's another interest that you'd have that you could see working on?
Translating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, talk
translating.
About that.
I mean, I'm fluent in Spanish, so if you found the right job, the right company, you could definitely make a killing. I guess you could freelance, but...
Freelance?
Yeah.
Get that side gig going.
I mean, I enjoy doing that. So I've always enjoyed helping people, and I think I used to do that whenever I was in college, just for friends and family. And then if people around the community needed help, and then I realized how much that people got paid. I did it for free, and I realized how much you could make. Actually, the one time I did get paid for it for 1 hour was crazy. It was like $150 for an hour.
Okay, so lunch is on you next time.
Yeah, I quit doing that, so maybe not so much.
Okay.
But that's what I would do. Like I said, I like helping people, and obviously a good skill that I have that I never really use.
Yeah. So how did you learn Spanish? Obviously from your family?
Yeah. My family, my dad is native from Mexico, and then I've been here my whole life, but I still use it, used to with him and friends and family. I'm probably not as fluent as I used to be, but I still get around.
Yeah. Do you have any Spanish-speaking drivers on your fleet?
I have two.
Have you had a few in the past?
I have. I've had probably, I would say, at least 8 per se. And I like him. We use what we call Spanglish, so we use both Spanish and English, and we get along great. You know, I seems like those guys that I have, whatever I can't get across in English, then I'll switch back to Spanish and to get the point across.
Yeah. Do you think that like provides like a little bit stronger bond between you and some of them, just because you can't, you know, sort of like you relate at that level at least?
I think so. I think sometimes I know one of them that I got specifically asked for someone that knew Spanish, not because he didn't know Spanish. He is fluent.
Yeah.
Great guy, but I think he wanted someone that thought would have his back, that he could relate to, someone that was like him. You know, so I think some of the bilingual guys that speak Spanish, really anyone in general, kind of sometimes looks for that. You know, that guy looks kind of shady. I don't know. I don't want that guy. You know, but yeah, I think it helps. I think it builds a kind of bridge, closes that bridge between.
Have you had a driver that has come in, whether it was a student or an experienced driver, and they were assigned to your board, and they walked over, and they met you, and then asked not to be on your fleet?
I haven't had that.
Okay.
I did have one though. I had one. Like I said, we kind of changed drivers, and I did have one that asked for the original fleet manager back. It didn't hurt my feelings. It was actually one of Nikki's drivers.
Okay.
They wanted
Sometimes
to be back.
not a good fit.
Yeah, you know, sometimes maybe Nikki spoke to them a little bit softer than I did. I don't know.
Ooh, tough man, Rudy.
Right, you know, got to get tough sometimes. But that was the only one. I've never had one that looked at me and said, "I don't want that guy."
Okay, well that's good.
You know, so well, at least not to my face. Maybe mine. You know. So
yeah. So now you're thinking about the time when
now I'm
might have
actually
happened. You're like, man.
That's why that guy looked at me that way. No, I don't think, and if that did happen, I would be okay with it. You know, if someone said, I don't want Rudy as my fleet manager, I want Josh, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Well, some folks come in here and, you know, they had like, for example, if one of your drivers referred someone else and they came in and they spoke highly of you, I mean, if I was that driver coming in, I'd be like, hey, I want Rudy too, because, you know, my man says it's working.
I've actually had that.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling. I've had guys that say, hey, this guy said you're really good with him. I want you, my fleet manager. People that have switch trainers or trainees, whatever. So I've had those. That's a good feeling. My newest one, actually, he asked me if I was going to be his fleet manager once he got done. I said, yeah, unless you don't want me to, I'll be your fleet manager. If there's an issue or you don't want me right now, I'm okay with it. You know, we'll put you with someone.
Right.
He's like, no, I heard great things about you. I want you. So, you know, it's good to hear those things. Obviously, you're doing a good job if someone's saying that you do an okay job.
Right.
So I'm okay with doing an okay job.
Nice. What's something you would say to maybe one of your drivers right now that might not be performing that well, right? That whether that's, you know, based on revenue or their paychecks, or just, you know, they're still making good money, but you just feel like things just aren't clicking. What's, you know, something you'd like to say to that person?
Obviously, I need to find something to motivate them, right? I always tell my drivers that their work reflects on me too. So if there's anything that I can do for them to help them out, maybe run a little bit more efficiently, maybe just do something different with their routes, just to reach out to me. I think sometimes just by reaching out and saying, hey, I can do this, I can't really do, these are my limits. I think sometimes that helps. I say that just because I had one guy that, where we improved his fuel costs quite a bit, and he didn't think he could do it, and he reached out to me to help him out, and I did, and he is doing great, you know, going from 21 cents a mile to 12 cents and improving. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
So I would say anyone that I think is not working or not, that could be better and perform better, just to reach out to me. Obviously, I'm the one to be reaching out to them, and I will just give them little pointers. Same deal, maybe like running the load ahead of time, not constantly fighting the clock.
Sure.
So little things like that.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Rudy, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you have any questions at all for Rudy, comment below, like, subscribe, share. We can get any of those questions over to you, and then your smart aleck remark right back to them.
Sure. Lots of that.
For sure. Awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for checking it out.